To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
Hello dear grade 7 children. Today we are going to learn the 9th lesson of the textbook, that is light. Now you already know that light is a type of energy, a source of energy. In the 7th lesson also we learn about light as a source of energy, and that light can be used to do our day-to-day activities. So in this lesson, what are we going to learn about light? We already learned about light as a source of energy. So here we are going to learn some more topics about light. These topics are going to be very interesting topics. Some of these topics you haven't even learned about. So let's see what are the topics that we have to study under this lesson. Right. So there are 3 main topics we are going to learn under this lesson. Formation of umbra and penumbra. Now, are you familiar with these terms, umbra and penumbra, children? Some of you might have heard of these terms, but I'm sure most of you are not familiar with these terms, umbra and penumbra. Umbra means shadows. So under this first topic, we are going to learn about the formation of shadows and the nature of shadows. Right, children? The second topic we are going to learn about is images formed by plane mirrors. Now, most of you all are familiar with this topic because plane mirrors we use in our day-to-day lives, okay? And the third topic is images formed by curved mirrors. Under this one, we are going to learn that there are 2 types of curved mirrors as convex and concave mirrors, and we are going to learn about the nature of the images formed by these 2 types of curved mirrors. So let's start the lesson. Right. So our first topic is formation of umbra and penumbra. Now I already explained y'all, umbra means shadows, okay? Look at these pictures, children. You all can see. Now here some instances where umbrae. Now umbrae means the plural form of shadows, right? So some instances where umbrae or shadows are formed, okay? So pay attention to the following figures. It shows some instances where umbrae or shadows are formed, okay? So here look at this tree. You all can see very clearly the shadow of the tree is here. Right, and look at this. This is a building. You all can see that there are some open spaces here. So the light comes through those open spaces, and through the other spaces, light cannot come. What is the reason, children? We are going to learn about the reasons in the next parts, okay? So you all can see through the open spaces, light can come to this side very easily. But through the walls of this building, light cannot pass, okay? So look at this one. It's a tiger. You all can see very clearly the shadow of this animal is formed here. Right, children? So if you all observe the shadows formed during the daytime, you will see that based on the time, the length of the shadow is different. Okay, children? So what is the reason? That is because of from the angle where the light falls on a certain object, the length of the shadow is, it changes, okay? Let's see. So in our day-to-day life, umbrae or shadows can be seen frequently. Right, children? Okay. We'll see now we have to do an activity here, right? So the activity is investigating how shadows are formed, okay? So what are the things we need to do this activity, children? So we need a lighted candle, and we need a white color screen, and we need a small ball or any other object also fine. So this activity you all can do at home very, very easily, okay? So let's write this. Right. A candle. A white screen. You can use a white cardboard or even a white color board is fine, okay? A white screen. a small ball. Right, children? A candle, a white screen, and a small ball, right? So we'll see how to do this one. Right. This is the diagram. Let's label it. Candle, screen, and the ball. Right, children? So what are the steps? Place the lighted candle on a table and keep the ball in front of it, right? And obtain the umbra or the shadow of the ball on a screen or on a wall, okay? So you have to place the ball in the middle, and from one side you have to place the lighted candle, and from the other side the white color screen. And you have to take the shadow of this ball. Now you all know another name for shadow is umbra, right? So you have to take the umbra or the shadow of this ball on this screen. Right, children? So as I told you all, this activity is very easy, right? You all can do it at home. So let's do this activity now. Right, children? We are going to observe how shadows or umbra is formed. Look what I have here. I have a plastic ball as the object. So to do this activity easily, I can hold this ball easily as I have fixed a spoke wire to this plastic ball, okay? Here I have a candle. And here this side I have a white color screen. So when you do this activity at home, you can even use a white color wall, okay? Right. So first of all, I am going to light this candle. Right. Right, children. Now I'm going to hold this ball in front of the candle so that its shadow should form on the screen. Can you see any shadow, children? So at the moment you can't see any shadow. That is because this room is too bright. Therefore, I am going to show you this activity after turning off the lights. Right, children. Now observe, you all can see a very clear shadow on the white color screen. Right? So when I place this ball in between the screen and the candle, you all can see the shadow of the ball forms on the white color screen. So when I move this ball here and there, you all can see the size of the shadow also changes. When I move it towards the candle, the shadow gets bigger. And when I move it away from the candle, which means towards the screen, the size of the shadow decreases. Okay, children? Right, children. So how is a shadow formed, children? You all know that even in grade 6 you learned that there are 3 different types of materials based on the transmission of light. What are those materials, children? Do you all remember the materials? Transparent materials, translucent materials, and opaque materials. Transparent materials let the light pass through them very easily, and translucent materials let only a little amount of light pass through them, and opaque materials don't let the light pass through them at all. Now look at this plastic ball, children. This is an opaque material. Plastic is opaque. Right now, colorless plastic is transparent, but this type of colored plastic, this is an opaque material, right? So as light does not pass through the opaque materials, what happens, children? When we direct light from one side of the opaque material or the object, from the other side of the object, a shadow is formed according to the shape of the object. Okay, so that is why you could see a clear shadow on the white color screen. Shadow, another name is umbra. A clear umbra or clear shadow was formed on the white color screen. That is because when we hold the ball in between the screen and the candle, this candle light does not pass through this ball, and therefore the light is blocked by this opaque material or this object, and thereby the shadow is formed. Right, children. So you all observed what happened. So what was the experiment we did? We lighted this candle and we placed it in front of the bowl, and we placed the screen on the other side of the bowl, and we could clearly see the shadow of this bowl on the screen. Right? So what was our observation? We could see a clear shadow or an umbra of the ball on the screen. Right? So what is the reason for the formation of umbra or the shadow, children? What is the reason? Right? You all know that when you consider the materials based on the transmission of light, the materials can be divided into three types. What are they, children? You all have already learned these materials in grade 6. Right? So what are these materials? Transparent materials, translucent materials, and opaque materials. So when we consider the transparent materials, light passes through these transparent materials very easily. What are the examples for transparent materials, children? Clear glass, right? Clear glass, colorless polythene, clean water, these all are coming under transparent materials. Right, children? So the second type of material is translucent materials. What are translucent materials, children? Now through the translucent materials, only part of the light can pass through. Right? Only a certain amount of light rays pass through the translucent materials. So what are the examples that you have learned in grade 6 for translucent materials, children? Oil paper and decorative glass, so translucent glass that we use in our bathroom doors and windows, those are known as decorative glass. or frosted glass, they can be considered as translucent materials, and soap dissolved water is also a translucent material. Okay, children? And then the third type of material is opaque materials. What is the meaning of opaque materials? So the materials that do not let light pass through them are known as opaque materials, which means light cannot pass through these materials at all. So what are the examples, children? Cardboards, brick walls, and black color paper. These all are coming under opaque materials. Okay, children? So when you consider this small ball, that this can be considered as an opaque material. Right, children? So because of this reason, this light rays will not pass through the ball, because ball is made up of opaque materials. Right, children? Now light goes only through the edges of this ball, right? Not through the ball from the either side. Through the edges of the ball, light can pass through, right? So because of this reason, according to the shape of the ball, the shadow is formed here. Right, children? So what is the reason for the formation of shadows? When light falls on opaque materials, because light cannot pass through these opaque materials, a shadow of that object is formed on the other side of the object. Right, children? Let's write these details now. Right. So what was the observation again? Let's write. The umbra or shadow of the on the screen. Right, children? The umbra or shadow of the ball can be seen on the screen. This was the observation. What was the conclusion? Let's write. Light does not pass through the ball. Light does not pass through the ball. Ball is made up of Simply write ball is opaque. Therefore, shadow of the forms on the screen. Right, children? Light does not pass through the ball because ball is opaque. Therefore, the shadow of the ball forms on the screen. So after doing this activity, it is very clear the formation of shadows take place when light falls on opaque materials. Okay, children? So we are going to do another activity to understand more about the formation of shadows and the nature of shadows as well. Okay? Right. So the next activity is studying the nature of the umbra formed in different instances. Okay. So what are the things we need to do this activity? We need a torch, we need a white screen, a small ball. Here we need 3 other materials. What are they? We need a transparent glass sheet, translucent glass sheet or decorative piece of glass, and a cardboard sheet. Okay, let's write. We need a torch, white screen, a small ball, a transparent glass sheet, translucent glass sheet, and a cardboard sheet. Right, children? We need a torch, a white screen, a small ball, a transparent glass sheet, a translucent glass sheet, 2 pieces of decorative glass, and a cardboard sheet. Okay? So how to do this activity? Right. Look at this one. Now earlier, if you remember, we did this activity like this. We lighted the candle and we placed the ball in between the candle and the screen. Now here in this activity, we are going to do it in a similar way but little different. So in between the candle or the source of light and the ball, we are going to place each of these glass sheets and the cardboard sheet. Okay? So this is what given in this picture. So look at the first picture. This is the torch, this is the transparent glass sheet, this is the small bowl, and this is the white color screen. The second picture, we will label them 1, 2, 3. Right. So in the second picture, this is the translucent glass sheet in between the torch and the bowl, and the other side of the bowl we can see the screen. Right. And this is the torch, and then finally in between the bowl and the torch, we are going to place the cardboard sheet. Right? We will label these, children. Right. So we will label the torch, ball and the screen only in the first picture, okay? Because all the other two instances are the same. That's why. This is the torch. Transparent glass sheet. This is the ball. And the screen. This is the translucent glass sheet. And finally the cardboard sheet. Right, children? Okay. Place the lighted electric torch, the transparent glass sheet, and the ball as shown in the above figure. This figure, number 1. And obtain the umbra or the shadow of the ball on a screen or on a wall. Right, children? Next step. Observe the nature of the umbra. We have to check whether it is sharp or not. Right, children? Right. Then replace the transparent glass sheet with the translucent glass sheet and observe the umbra form. Right? So we had to remove this one. Place the translucent glass sheet in between this torch and the ball, and you have to check whether what is the nature of the umbra or the shadow formed on the screen. Right? Then finally, replace the translucent glass sheet with the cardboard sheet and see whether an umbra of the ball can be obtained. Right? So you all can see all these materials can be found very easily. Therefore, even this activity you all can try at home very easily. Okay? So let's do this activity now. Right, children? So in this activity, we are going to study further about formation of umbra. Now you all know umbra means shadow, and even in the earlier experiment, we learned how umbra is formed, okay? Now look what I have here. Now I have the white color screen and I have the ball which is fixed to the table this time. And I have a torch. Here you all can see I have a transparent glass sheet. And here I have a decorative glass sheet. Okay. And I have a piece of cardboard here. Right, children? Now what I am going to do is I am going to direct this torch light towards the ball. What can you say, children? When I direct this torch towards the ball, you all can see very clearly. You can see the umbra or the shadow is formed on the screen. Right, children? Now what I am going to do is, in between the torch and the ball or the object, I am going to place this transparent glass sheet. Observe what happens. So each time I place these three materials in front of the torch, you have to observe what happens to the shadow that is formed on the screen. Okay, now here, this is the shadow without any material in between the torch and the object. Right? Now here, when I place this transparent glass sheet, what happens, children? The shadow doesn't change much. It's almost the same. Right here, this is without the glass sheet. This is with the glass sheet. There's no much difference. Now this time I am going to place the decorative glass sheet. Look what happens this time. You all can see that the shadow becomes a little blurred this time, right? Observe very carefully. This is without the decorative glass. This is with the decorative glass. Without and with. Right, children? So you could see that the shadow or the umbra becomes a little blurry. Now I am going to place this piece of cardboard between the torch and the ball, right? What happens, children? Can you see any shadow on the screen? This time there's no shadow at all, right? Without the cardboard, with the cardboard, there's no shadow at all, right? So why does this happen, children? Now, even in the previous activity, I explained y'all based on the transmission of light, there are 3 different types of materials or objects. Even in grade 6, you learn what are these 3 materials. What are the materials, children? Transparent materials, translucent materials, and opaque materials. Now, light passes through transparent materials very well. And light does not pass through translucent materials very well. Only part of the light passes through translucent materials. What about the opaque materials? Light does not pass through the opaque material at all. So when we consider this transparent glass sheet, this is a transparent material. So when I place this transparent glass sheet in between the bowl and the torch, what happens, children? This torch light passes through the transparent glass sheet very well, and therefore the bowl gets the light. Right, children? Therefore, as the bowl receives the light, a clear shadow forms on the screen. Right, children? So what happens when I take this decorative glass? Now, decorative glass is a type of translucent material. So this type of materials let the light pass only partially through them. Right? Therefore, when I direct the torch light towards this decorative glass, what happens? Only part of the light will come from the other side. Therefore, this bowl gets only a little amount of light. That is the reason when we were observing earlier, a blurry shadow was formed. Right? That is because only part of the light will come to this side of the bowl. Right, children? What about this opaque material? The opaque materials completely block the light away. Therefore, no light rays can pass through the opaque materials. So when I place this piece of cardboard in between the object and the torch, what happens, children? Light rays do not pass through this opaque material. Therefore, the bowl does not receive light. Right, children? So if the bowl does not receive light, it will not form a shadow. So when light passes through transparent materials, a clear shadow, a clear umbra is formed. When light passes through translucent materials, a blurred umbra is formed. When light passes through opaque materials, no umbra is formed. Right, children? So after doing this activity, it's very clear that for the formation of shadows, light is necessary. Right, children? So you observed what happened. I hope you all have done that activity at home too. Okay. So what happened, children? So you all observed when we place the transparent glass sheet before the bowl, what happened, children? We could obtain a clear umbra, very sharp, clear umbra on the screen. Right, children? When we use the translucent glass sheet before the bowl, what happened, children? We could obtain an umbra or the shadow, but it was not as clear as before. It was not sharp. It was a bit blurry. Right? Now, when we use the cardboard sheet, what happened, children? Could we obtain the shadow of the bowl on the screen? No. So, what is the reason for these observations, children? So, when we place these transparent glass sheets, as I explained before, through the transparent objects, light travels very well. So even though we place the transparent glass sheet in between this torch and the bowl, it does not disturb the transmission of light towards the bowl. So bowl gets a lot of light to it, therefore the shadow is formed on the screen. Right, children? So translucent glass sheet, when we place this one, what happened? As I explained you all earlier, through translucent materials, only part of the light goes, right? Therefore, this bowl gets only a part of the light coming from the torch. Therefore, the shadow formed is blurred. Right, children? When you consider the third instance, no umbra, no shadow is formed. What is the reason? Because the cardboard sheet is an opaque material. Right, children? So, when we use the cardboard sheet, from here onwards, no light goes through the cardboard sheet. Therefore, the bowl does not get any amount of light. So without light, no shadow is formed. So after doing this activity, it's very clear that for the formation of shadows, light source also should be there. From the earlier activity, we came to a conclusion that for the formation of umbra or shadows, there should be an opaque material, right? So not only the opaque material, there should be enough amount of light as well. Source of light is also very important, right children? So that's why in all these three instances, opaque material is there as the object, but the amount of light received by the object or the small ball is different, right? When it gets more light, it forms a clear or very sharp umbra or the shadow, right? When it gets only part of the light, it forms a blurred umbra. When it does not get any light, it does not make any umbra. Right children? Let's write these things. So observations. We will include the observations in a table, children. So we can write the type of material, placed before the ball, the nature of the shadow or umbra formed. Nature of the umbra formed. So what was the first material? Transparent glass sheet. Translucent glass sheet. And finally, cardboard sheet. Cardboard sheet. Right children? So in this column, the type of material placed before the ball, and here the nature of the umbra formed. So the first material placed before the ball was the transparent glass sheet. What was the nature of the umbra? A sharp umbra. Sharp umbra. Translucent glass sheet, what happened children? Blurred umbra. A blurred umbra. Cardboard sheet, what happened? No umbra formed. No umbra. Right children? So when we use the transparent glass sheet, a sharp umbra was formed. Translucent glass sheet, a blurred umbra was formed. And cardboard sheet, no umbra was formed. Okay? We'll write the conclusion. Light travels well through transparent materials. Therefore, a sharp umbra is formed. Light travels partially through translucent materials. Therefore, a blurred umbra is formed. And finally, light does not travel through opaque materials. Therefore, no umbra is formed in 3. We'll write formed in 1, in 2. First instance, second instance and third instance as we labeled before. So, what is the conclusion then, children? We'll write source of light should present for the formation of shadows. For the formation of shadows. Right, children? So here, source of light is present here. Now here, because of the transparent glass sheet, the entire amount of light reaches the ball, right? So here, even though the source of light is present, that entire amount does not reach the ball because of the translucent glass sheet placed in between. The third one, no light is reached the ball because of the cardboard sheet or the opaque material placed in between, right? So even though the opaque object is there, because it does not get enough light, shadow is not formed here. So it's very clear that for the formation of shadows, not only the opaque object, but enough light or a source of light also should present. Right, children? So that's why light travels well through transparent materials. Therefore, a sharp umbra is formed in 1. Right? Light travels partially through translucent materials. Therefore, a blurred umbra is formed in 2. Right? Light does not travel through opaque materials. Therefore, no umbra is formed in 3. Therefore, finally, a source of light should present for the formation of shadows. This is very important, right? The source of light should present for the formation of shadows. Right, children? Right. We'll move on to the next. Look at this one. the length and the direction of shadows differ due to the angle and the direction of sunlight falling on objects. Right? The length and the direction of shadows differ. What is the meaning of this, children? Now let's say when you go out during the daytime, let's say if you are here, if the sunlight falling from this side, where does the shadow form, children? Now you all know sunlight coming from this side. This is considered as opaque material. Because this is opaque, what happens, children? Shadow is formed to this side, light will not reach. So accordingly, your shadow will form here. Right, children? Your shadow will form at this direction. What will happen if the sunlight coming from this side? Then your shadow will fall on this side. Okay, children? That is why the length and the direction of the shadows differ due to the angle and the direction of sunlight. So according to the direction of sunlight, this is how the direction of the shadow forms differ. So what about the length of the shadow, children? This is also different, children. Because of the angle of the sunlight a certain object gets, the shadow form, the length of the shadow formed is different. Right? So for example, if you go out at noon, where will your shadow be? What would be the length of your shadow, children? Just go out at noon and observe. Your shadow is very short. What is the reason, children? When you go out at noon, the sun is present overhead. Right? The sun is present overhead. Therefore, the shadow form, because of the angle where you get the sunlight, the shadow formed is very short. Right? You could observe the shortest shadow at noon. Okay, children? So here, let's say that during the daytime, sun, as it moves from here to here, let's consider the sun is moving from this direction to this direction. Right? What happens during the noon? Because the sunlight falls overhead, the shadow is very short. Okay? Again, during the evening, what happens? Because of the revolution, what happens, children? Shadow, the length of the shadow increases. Right, children? So during the noon, at noon, what happens? The shorter shadow is formed. In the morning and in the evening, the shadow length is longer than the noon. Okay, children? That is why the length and the direction of shadows differ due to the angle and the direction of sunlight falling on objects. Right? Now here, this is overhead. Here sunlight, you get the sunlight overhead. This is with an angle. When the angle increases, the length of the shadow made also increases. Right, children? So the length and the direction of shadows differ due to the angle and the direction of sunlight falling on objects. This is very important. Right? According to the angle and the direction of sunlight falling on objects. Right? Actually, this was used to measure the time during the ancient times, because during the ancient times, people did not have clocks. Right? So this was the formation of shadows, and the length and the direction of the shadows was used as the unit to measure time. How? In ancient times, the length of the umbra or the shadows was used as arbitrary units to measure time. Look at this object. This instrument was known as the sundial. Right? So you can see, you also can make your own sundial. You can simply go out and you can use a stick and you can make it stand on the ground and you can use it as your own sundial. But remember, that stick that you are going to use should get a lot of sunlight. Right? You have to place it where it gets a lot of sunlight from all the directions. Okay, children? So this sundial was used. Now according to now you all can see this stick-like part is fixed to the middle of the sundial. So according to the direction and the length of this middle part, they predicted the time. Okay, children? Right. We'll move on to the next. Right. Look at this one. I'm very sure you all must have tried these activities at home. Look at these things, some creations done with umbra. We all love to do these type of activities, make different shapes, especially like when there's a power cut during the night time, we all love to do these type of activities, right? So look at these. Now, this shape, when you make it like this, it looks like a bird, right? This is like a dog. So likewise, you can make different animal shapes, not only animal shapes, you can even make other shapes like trees, like flowers also. Right, children? These are very interesting activities you all can try out at home. Okay, so we are going to watch a video clip related to this. Right, children, I hope you enjoyed that video clip. You all should try these type of activities at home, okay? Right, we have an assignment. Test whether you can do creations like those shown in figure. So we already watched a video clip related to this, so you can understand. Now you can do it as a group, right? Present a collection of such creations with your friends. So during the daytime, it's a bit difficult to do these type of activities, but during the night time, not only with your friends, but with your family members also, you can try these type of activities at home, okay? Right, so look at these instances, children. In concerts, creations done using shadows are popular today, right? Some such instances are shown in the following figure. So you all can see this one. So here what happens? There's a huge screen, white color screen is placed. So behind the screen, in front of a source of light, people are making these different shapes. Okay, children? So you must have watched these type of events as well, even in video clips. These type of events are very popular nowadays. Okay, children? Right. So here there's this assignment. Enjoy watching artistic creations of shadows on the internet or in video clips. We are going to watch a small video clip on this now. Right, children. So I hope you enjoyed that video clip as well. So you also can try these type of activities with your friends, right? Try to present this type of event at your college concert, right? Everyone will enjoy these type of activities. Okay, children? We'll move on to the next. Right, we have another activity to do. Studying the nature of the umbra and penumbra. So far we discussed about umbra. Now our topic, the first topic was umbra and penumbra. But so far we did not discuss anything about penumbra. What is penumbra? Now we are going to discuss about penumbra in this topic, right? So umbra, simply umbra means shadows, okay? So we are going to learn about penumbra as well, okay? So what are the things we need? We need a torch, we need a white color screen and a small object or a small ball like this. We'll write a torch, a white screen, a small ball. Right, children? A torch, a white screen, a small ball. You see how to do this one? The method. We'll label these things first. Right. Torch, small screen. Right, children? Place the ball in front of the lighted electric torch and obtain its umbra on a screen or on a wall. Right? Identify the dark brown and light brown umbra and penumbra of the ball. Right? So when you direct light from one side towards the ball, you are going to see the shadow of this ball on the screen. Now what you have to do is, next one, change the distance between the ball and the torch and observe how the umbra and penumbra are changing. So when you do this activity, if you observe very carefully, you are going to see two parts of this shadow. One part is very dark black in color. Right, children? It's a very dark color one. Outside, as an outline, there is a very light colored shadow is also there. Right? This is what we are going to observe. So when you observe this one, first we are going to keep this torch at a certain distance, and then you are going to change the distance between the torch and the ball, which means this distance. You are going to change this distance between the torch and the ball, and you are going to observe what happens to the nature of the shadow forms on the screen. We'll do this activity now. Right, children? In this activity, we are going to observe different parts of the shadows. Now, you all know that shadow is known as umbra, right? So, here I have a white color screen and the object. We have a foam ball here fixed to this stand, right? And I have the torch. Now, I'm going to direct this torch onto this object, and we are going to take the shadow of this object on this screen. Right, children. Observe very carefully. You all can see the shadow of this wall on the screen. Now, if you observe the shadow very carefully, you all can identify there are two areas. The middle area is dark in color. Right? Look at the outer part of the shadow, children. You all can see it is lighter color. Right? It's lighter than that of the middle part. Okay, children? So, what is the reason for this one, children? Remember, this dark part is known as umbra. The dark shadow is known as umbra. The light shadow that forms around the darker shadow is known as penumbra. Okay, this is known as penumbra. Right? So, is there any way that I can remove this penumbra and get a very sharp dark color umbra? Let's see. Now, I am going to take this torch a little away from this object. Check what happens. Right. You all can see the shadow gets smaller. But if you observe very carefully, you all can see it is darker this time. Right? What happens to the penumbra, children? What happens to the outer shadow? It gradually disappears. If you keep on observing, you can understand that very well. Right? Right. Now look at this, children. Look at the screen. Can you all see the penumbra, children? You can't see the penumbra. Right? You can't see the penumbra. You can see only the umbra, which means the dark color shadow. Right? Look again. Now you can see the umbra, the dark color shadow. It's darker than before, and you cannot see the penumbra. Again, I will take this torch towards the ball. Now you can see the sharpness of the shadow reduces. It becomes a bit blurred, right? And at the same time, if you observe very carefully, when I bring this torch towards the ball more and more, you can observe the penumbra also. Umbra and penumbra both can be observed. Right, children? Now, when the torch and the ball are closer to each other, which means the source of light and the object are closer to each other, we can observe the shadow in two areas. The darker color middle part, which is known as umbra, and the light color or light part or lighter shadow in the outside, and that is known as the penumbra. Again, when we take it away from the object, what happens? The sharpness of the dark color shadow increases and the light color shadow, the outer shadow, disappears. So I hope after doing this activity, it's very clear that when we consider the shadows, there are different areas of the shadow called umbra and penumbra. So to obtain a clear umbra, a clear shadow, so we have to remove the penumbra, right? So without a penumbra, the outer light color shadow, in order to get a very dark, sharp umbra, what do we have to do? We have to increase the distance between the source of light and the object. So that is why when I move this torch away from this wall, what happened, children? We could observe a clear, sharper umbra. Right, children. So you all clearly observed what happened. Even this activity you all can do at home very easily. Okay. So what did we observe? So when the distance between the torch and the ball is less, we observed an umbra, a shadow like this. So here the shadow was not very sharp. Okay. So around the shadow there was a lighter shadow as well. So this lighter shadow is known as penumbra. Okay. So the middle, that darker shadow is known as umbra. The lighter shadow that present around the dark part or the umbra is known as penumbra. So then what we did? We increased the distance between the torch and the ball, which means the source of light and the ball. Here what happens, children? We could observe a very sharp umbra. In this instance, the penumbra gradually decreases. Right? So penumbra gradually disappears and the umbra gets sharper. Okay? So we will write this, we will label this. This is penumbra. This is umbra, the dark part. This is the screen. The second instance, when the distance between the ball and the torch is more, what happens? You cannot see penumbra anymore. Only the umbra could be seen. Umbra and screen. Right? We will write when the distance between the ball and the torch is less, the umbra formed is not clear. Penumbra also could be seen. When the above distance is increased, the umbra becomes sharp and the penumbra disappears. Right, children? When the distance between the ball and the torch is less, the umbra formed is not clear. Penumbra also could be seen, right? When the above distance, which means the distance between the ball and the torch, is increased, the umbra becomes sharp and the penumbra disappears gradually. Okay? So what is the conclusion? We will write the conclusion. We'll write it in different color. So what is the conclusion? To get a sharp and clear umbra, sharp and clear umbra, the distance between the ball and the torch should be increased. Right, children? To get a sharp and clear umbra, the distance between the ball and the torch should be increased, right? Or instead, we can use a narrow source of light too. Here what happens is, when this ball and the torch are too close to each other, what happens, children? Some amount of light is escaped through the edges of the object, right? So because of the light that emitted or escapes through the edges of the object, this penumbra is formed. Right, children? But here what happens when the distance increases, that light, the amount of light that escapes through the edges escapes. It's more focused on the object only, right? So that is why, because there's no light emitted or the escape through the edges of the object, no penumbra is formed. Okay? So here we can increase the distance, so we can use a narrow source of light. So when the source of light is narrow, what happens? No light rays will escape through the edges of the object. Okay, children? So in this case, in order to get a clear and sharp umbra, what do we have to do? We should increase the distance between the torch and the ball. Right, children? We'll move on to the next. So here the same thing is explained. When the ball and the electric torch are closer, the umbra on the screen is not sharp and clear. There is a penumbra also around the umbra, right? When the distance between the ball and the electric torch is increasing, the penumbra gradually disappears. When the electric torch is kept at a considerable distance from the ball, only the umbra can be observed. That umbra or the shadow is sharper than before, right? So the light source should be far from the object to obtain a clear and sharp umbra. Right, children? Right. We have another activity to do, studying further about penumbra. So we learned about umbra and penumbra. In this activity, we are going to learn more about penumbra. Okay? Right. So what are the things we need? We need a torch, we need a white screen, a small ball, and we need marker pens of 2 colors. Here we can use red and blue, okay? And a piece of cellophane. We will write a torch, a white screen, small ball, red and blue marker pen, so platinum, or even you can use red and blue, 2 pieces of red and blue cellophane. There's colored cellophane. You can use colored cellophane as well, okay? And a piece of cellophane. Right, children? A torch, a white screen, a small ball, red and blue marker pens, a piece of cellophane. Okay? Let's see how to do this activity. Now, this activity also you all can do at home very easily. Okay? Right. We will label this one first. torch, ball, screen. Right, children. Tie the piece of polythene onto the face of the torch and divide it into two semicircles. Right? So let's consider if this is the face of the torch. Right? You have to wrap this part with the piece of cellophane and you have to divide it into two parts, two semicircles. Right, like this. Color one of the semicircles in blue and the other in red. Okay, so how to do this one? Right, so we can take blue, one piece blue, the other piece in red, or whatever the two colors you have. It's better to use bright colors. Okay, children? So now this is when you consider the face of the torch, you have to cover it with piece of polythene or cellophane. If you use polythene, it's better to use a plain piece of polythene, okay, colorless polythene, and then you can color it with this red and blue color each half, okay. And otherwise, as I told you all before, you can use two pieces of cellophanes, right? One piece red, one piece blue, and you can cover each half of this face of this torch with red and blue cellophane as well. Okay. Tie the piece of polythene onto the face of the torch and divide it into two semicircles. Color one of the semicircles in blue and the other in red, or use red and blue cellophane to cover the face of the torch. Right, children? And then what you have to do is light the torch and focus it until you observe mixed colors on the screen. Right? So which means to do this activity, you have to obtain a penumbra. So in the earlier activity, we learned that in order to obtain a sharp and clear umbra, what do you have to do, children? You have to increase the distance between the ball and the torch, which means you have to take the torch away from the ball. But in this instance, we need to observe the penumbra. So in this case, you have to bring the torch closer to the ball. Then only you can observe the penumbra. Because I earlier explained y'all, penumbra is formed because of the light rays escape through the edges of the object. Right? So if you want to observe the penumbra, you have to bring the torch closer to the ball. Then you will see a very clear penumbra, and the two parts of the penumbra, upper part in one color, the lower part of the penumbra in another color. We will do this very interesting activity now. Right, children? Now we are going to do this activity to study further about penumbra. Now you all know when we consider a shadow, there are two parts called umbra and penumbra. Umbra is the middle dark part. Penumbra is the outer part which is lighter than the umbra, okay? Now, we have the same things to do the experiment as before, but I have made a change this time. Look at this torch, children. You all can see that now I have covered the face of the torch with polythene, and I have colored one half of the polythene with blue and the other half with red. Okay, children? So what will happen? You all can see without this object, if I direct this torch, you all can see. Now this light patch has two colors, right? This is the red part, this is the blue part. So the light patch that falls on the screen has two colors, okay? Right. Now what I am going to do is I am going to do the same activity that we have done before using this torch, okay? Right. I will place it closer like this. And now I am going to direct this torch light onto the ball. Now look very carefully, you all can see the shadow again very clearly, right? This dark part is the umbra. Look at the penumbra this time. Penumbra is colorful, right? Penumbra is colorful. You all can see this part is the penumbra. It is blue color. This is red color, right? I will turn this torch. Now you all can see this time the blue color goes down, red color is up. Right, children? So to make sure this is penumbra, I'm going to take this torch away from the ball. You all know that penumbra disappears when we take the source of light away from the object, right? Now I'm going to take it away. This time you all can see very clearly the penumbra disappears, right? Now you can't see blue and red parts like before. Right, children? Now you can't see the blue and red parts like before, but you can see a very clear umbra, the dark color shadow. Again, I will take it towards the wall. This time you all can see the penumbra forms here. You all can see the penumbra, the light color penumbra. This part is red, this part is blue. So why does this happen, children? Now, when we keep this torch closer to this object, closer to the ball, what happens? Part of the light, now because of the ball, the light rays coming from the middle cannot go through the ball. Therefore, it's very clear that umbra is formed or the main shadow is formed, okay? But here what happens? When we keep it closer to the object, what happens? Part of the light rays emit from the edges of the object, edges of this ball. That makes the penumbra, right? So when we increase the distance between the torch and the ball, what happens? It's more, the light that falls on the ball is more directed on the ball and therefore penumbra disappears. Only when we take it closer to the object, that certain amount of light can escape or emit through the edges of the object. Right, children? So after this activity, I think you have got a better understanding about penumbra. Right, children? So you all observed what happened there. I hope you all enjoyed that very interesting activity. Try to do this activity at home too, okay? Right. So what did you all observe? We covered the face of the torch, one half with blue, the other half with red, right? And when we obtain the penumbra on the screen, umbra and penumbra both, when we obtain it on the screen, you could clearly see the blue color one side, the red color the other side. What about the umbra, children? Umbra was still black, dark black in color. What is the reason? Umbra doesn't get any light. That is why it's black in color. Penumbra is formed because of the light escape through the edges of the object. So in this case, because the torch was colored in two colors, upper part, according to this diagram, upper part blue, lower part red. So when light escapes, light goes out through this torch, what happens? It gives a color. The blue color light comes out from one side, the red light comes from the other side. Okay, children? Right, we will label this diagram. This is the umbra. These parts are the penumbra. Penumbra. So what was the observation? Umbra is black. Penumbra has two colors. Two colors, blue and red. Right? So by doing this activity, you can observe the penumbra very clearly. Right, children? So umbra is black. Penumbra has two colors, blue and red. Okay? Right. So here under extra knowledge part also the same incidents given. To describe activity, the above activity we have done using the colored cellophane. Umbra is formed on the screen because light does not pass through the ball. That's why it is dark, the black color, right? It is black in color. Penumbra is formed because of the light rays emitted from the edges of the light source, right? Penumbra is formed because of the light rays, emitted from, escaped from the edges of the light source. Look at this diagram. It shows how these light rays goes from either side of the object, right? It escapes through the edges, okay? But when you consider this area, it does not get any light. This is why this part is considered as umbra, that is black in color. From the edges, because of the light emitted or escaped, penumbra is formed around the umbra. Right, children? Thus, it's clear that penumbra is formed by the light emitted from one part of the light source. Okay, children? So, after doing this activity, I hope it's very clear how penumbra is formed. And umbra, we already learned that the main shadow is known as umbra. Okay? Right. So, look at this other extra knowledge part, children. Right? Solar and lunar eclipses occur due to umbrae or shadows. So, you all have heard of solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. How does this happen, children? Right? Look at this one. Look at this side. Here, this gives when the earth is between the sun and the moon. Now, this is the earth, this is the sun, and this is the moon. Right, children? When the earth is between the sun and the moon, and all three are in a straight line, the umbra of the earth falls on the moon, causing a lunar eclipse. So here what happens is, you all can see the moon. The moon shines bright because of the sunlight falls on the moon, and the moon reflects the sunlight. That reflected light comes to our eyes, and that's why we can see the moon shines bright. We learned this part in grade 6. Because of this reason, that moon cannot produce its own light, moon is known as a non-luminous object. Okay, children? Now here, when moon, earth and sun present like this, you all can see sunlight does not fall on the moon because it gets blocked by the earth. Right, children? So, these lunar eclipses take place that they occur in the full moon days. Now here what happens? These type of days, these type of instances, you all can see the sunlight gets blocked away by the earth. Therefore, you all can see now here, this is where the sunlight falls. This is where the shadow of the umbra of the earth is formed. Right? This is where the umbra of the earth is formed. Right? This part. What about these areas, children? You all can see these are the light rays that escape through the edges of the earth. Right? Therefore, these areas are the penumbra area. These are the penumbra area. Now, in this picture, moon presents in the umbra area, which means no sunlight falls on the moon. Therefore, because if the sunlight does not fall on the moon, it cannot shine bright, it cannot reflect light. So, if it cannot reflect the sunlight, can we see the moon? No. So, when we are here, these type of instances, we cannot see the moon because the moon does not get any sunlight. This incident is known as lunar eclipse. Right, children? So, when the earth is between the sun and the moon and all three are in a straight line, the umbra of the earth falls on the moon, causing a lunar eclipse. This is known as a lunar eclipse. Right, children? Right. Now, look at this one. This gives solar eclipse. Right? When the moon is between the sun and the earth. Now, here earlier, earth is between the moon and the sun. Here what happens? Moon is between the earth and the sun. Right? And all three are in a straight line. The umbra of the moon falls on the earth. You all can see sunlight falls on the moon. Right? When you consider this one, this is where the umbra of the moon is formed on the earth. So people who are here in this little part cannot see the sun at all because sunlight is totally blocked by the shadow of the moon, and the moon shadow falls on the earth, and therefore it's just like night time, right? This little part does not reach any sunlight, right? What about these parts, children? You all can see this is where the penumbra form. Therefore, these areas are not totally dark. It gets some amount of sunlight, right, children? But not the entire amount of sunlight. Only some amount of sunlight is obtained by this one. The other amount is blocked, right? So, but when you consider this very dark part, this is where the umbra is formed. Therefore, at this moment, people who are here, this little bit, cannot see the sun at all. And this is known as the solar eclipse, right? When the moon is between the sun and the earth and all three are in a straight line, the umbra of the moon falls on the earth. So, the sun cannot be seen from the earth, from this particular part, okay? This incident is known as a solar eclipse. So, you all are going to learn about the solar eclipse and lunar eclipse in grade 8. More about these two incidents. Okay, children? So, it's very interesting. These are two phenomena, two incidents in the nature that takes place because of formation of umbrae or shadows. Okay, children? So, I hope you understood this part very well. Right, children? We have come to the end of this first chapter of this lesson. So, what are the things we learned in this chapter? We learn about the formation of shadows. Now, we know what are the requirements for the formation of shadows, children. There should be an opaque object and also there should be a source of light. So, if those two requirements are there, if those two conditions are there, shadows are formed. And further, we learn that in the shadows form, there are two main parts, umbra and penumbra. And now we know how to obtain a sharp umbra, and all these experiments we have done so far, you all can try at home very well, very easily. Okay, children? So, we are going to learn more about light in the next chapters.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.